Welcome to Short Movie Channel. At the beginning of today's movie, we get to know a young man named Yibin. He's a quiet guy who stays out of trouble, but we soon discover that he's actually a skilled driver working for a gang. He manages to escape before getting caught, but when things go south and the gang threatens the girl he loves, he's forced to stand against them to protect her. In the first scene, we see him parking the car in front of a bank. We then get introduced to the gang members sitting in the car with him, and it's clear how dangerous they are. Among them is a woman who works with the gang, but the driver looks almost like a kid. His name is Baby. While sitting in the car, he plays music on his player. As the gang members step out, grab their weapons and bags, and enter the bank, Baby sits in the car, singing along to the music. A police car passes by, snapping him back to reality. He looks at the bank and realizes the job has begun. Things are about to get serious. He gets ready, revs the engine, and waits. Soon, the gang rushes out, jumps into the car, and Baby takes off at high speed. But the police are on their tail. Baby stays calm and maneuvers skillfully, avoiding capture. 5 more cop cars join the chase, but Baby still manages to stay cool and navigate through the chaos. He spots 2 identical red cars on the highway and strategically places himself between them. A police helicopter is tracking them from above, but as Baby drives under a bridge, he swaps places with the car on the left. The helicopter fails to notice the switch, believing the wrong car is theirs. That clever move allows them to escape. They ditch the red car in a garage, switch vehicles, change clothes, and let the woman drive. Later, we see Baby walking through the streets, enjoying his music. He enters a cafe and orders 4 coffees before heading to the gang's hideout, where they split the money. The gang leader, known as Doc, divides the cash while one of the members, Griff, mocks Baby, calling him slow. Doc shuts Griff down, saying, "Slow? Did he seem slow when he saved your life?" But Griff keeps taunting Baby. After the others leave, Doc hands Baby a stack of bills, saying, "One last job, and we're done." Back home, Baby hides the cash under the floorboards, adding it to his secret stash. His deaf foster father, Joe, watches him. Baby asks if he's hungry, and Joe nods. As Baby prepares food, Joe notices Baby's face on the news, linking him to a robbery. When Baby brings the food over, Joe asks where all the money is coming from. Baby simply replies, "Work." He reassures Joe that after this last job, he's done for good. Later, Baby listens to a tape he recorded, then plays another labeled, "Mom." It brings back memories of the accident that killed his parents. Lost in thought, he leaves the tape and picks up an old iPod, staring at it for a moment before grabbing his phone and heading out. He walks into a diner called Bobo's, where a waitress named Deborah is singing a song called Baby. He records the moment while watching her, completely lost in the music. She walks over and asks what he'd like to order. She's warm and friendly. As they chat, Baby's phone rings. Deborah asks about his job, and he tells her he's a driver. She smiles and says, "I'm jealous. Sometimes I just want to get in a car, drive with no destination, and listen to music." But she doesn't have a car, nor does she know how to drive. Baby tells her he likes that kind of vibe too. Before she leaves, he tells her she's really beautiful. As she walks away, Deborah starts singing the same song again, and Baby asks her the name of it. In the next scene, we see him going to buy the album, dancing to it, and then returning home. In front of Joe and Joma, Joe hasn't seen the girl yet, but when he notices Baby's behavior, he tells him that he approves of the relationship. Doc gives them the job and calls Baby, telling him there's a new mission. Baby heads to the new headquarters, where he meets the new team, Eddie, JD, and Bats. The guys ask why Baby is always listening to music, and the doctor explains that it's because he has tinnitus from an accident he had as a child, meaning he constantly hears ringing in his ears. One of the guys asks the doctor if he's sure about trusting Baby. The doctor reassures him, saying that Baby knows how to drive, especially in tight situations. He starts telling him about Baby's achievements, including how he once stole his car and ended up working for him. The next day, we see the team in the car heading to the target location, where someone is watching them. This guy looks like a new character. After they get out and finish the job, they head back to the car, but as soon as Baby starts driving, the guy who was watching them earlier tries to stop them. He rams into their car and starts shooting at them. From the way he handles weapons, it's clear he's a former military soldier. However, he has no idea that he's dealing with Baby, the streetwise driver. Baby manages to escape, though it isn't easy. They take off onto the highway, but after a while, they realize he's still behind them. Bats tries to shoot him, but Baby stops him at the last second, swerving the car. The man tries to mimic Baby's move, but his car flips over. Baby keeps driving until he gets stuck at a red light in traffic. They get out and steal the car in front of them, not even caring that there's a woman with a child inside. Baby takes the car anyway. As soon as the light turns green, Baby speeds off. Then JD admits that he made a mistake. He left his gun in the previous car. They drive into a parking garage, switch cars, and split up. Shortly after, they arrive at the meeting point. Baby goes to grab some coffee, but this time, he's not as relaxed as before. When he returns, he realizes JD is missing and won't be coming back. Later, Baby and the doctor take the bag and head to the car. As usual, the doctor hands Baby a stack of cash and tells him that with this, his debt is fully paid. But there's one last thing he needs to do: get rid of the car with JD's body inside. Baby takes the car to a junkyard to have it scrapped. The sight of the wreck reminds him of his past, watching his mom sing, the time she gave him his first iPod, the fights between his parents, his dad hitting his mom, and finally, the accident that killed them. Snapping back to reality, Baby puts on some music on his iPod, tosses his gloves and phone away, and walks off. He heads to his foster dad's diner. When he gets there, he sees Deborah. They immediately connect. Deborah asks him if his mom really worked there, and Baby confirms it, saying she was also a singer. Deborah asks what she does now, and Baby tells her nothing. They talk for a while before heading to a laundromat, where Deborah sings along to a song Baby plays for her. They talk about his tinnitus, which started after the accident that killed his parents. Deborah shares that her mother was mentally delayed and that she took care of her until she passed away. They set a date to go out. Later, we see Baby in a good mood, jumping around the house. He tells Joe about his night, then puts away the money he got from the doctor, and tells Joe that he's finally done with this job. Joe suggests he get a job delivering pizzas since he drives fast and could make customers happy with hot pizza. Baby agrees and starts working as a delivery driver. His first customer is shocked at how fast the pizza arrived. When Baby gets home, he counts his money and thinks about how he needs to be careful not to put Deborah in danger. In the next scene, Baby and Deborah go out on a date, having a great time. When they finish their meal, the waiter tells them that someone already paid for their check. It turns out to be the doctor. Baby approaches him, and the doctor tells him he has another job. Baby refuses at first, reminding him they agreed that the last job was supposed to be his final one. But when the doctor threatens to break his legs and kill everyone he loves if he refuses, Baby changes his mind and agrees. His mood is ruined, and Deborah notices something is wrong on their way home. She tries to get him to talk, but he can't say anything. Before they part ways, they agree to meet again the next day. The next morning, the doctor picks up Baby and takes him to a post office. The job is happening tomorrow, but first, the doctor wants Baby to go inside and gather intel. Baby is supposed to count how many customers and employees are inside, locate the security cameras, and figure out if the guards are armed. To avoid suspicion, he takes along the doctor's nephew, a little kid. But the kid isn't just there for cover, he plays a key role. While Baby memorizes all the details they need, the kid helps him confirm some things. Baby buys some stamps and leaves, then reports everything back to the doctor. After that, Doc and the crew arrive home. Baby steps out to call Deborah and tells her that he won't be able to see her tonight because he has other plans with Document. She says, "I thought you quit driving." Baby replies, "Me too." He tells her that this isn't what he wants to do and that he dreams of hitting the road, traveling west with her, playing music, and just driving with no destination. Then he asks if she's in, and Deborah says yes. Baby tells her, "I'll see you soon," and hangs up. Then they head to the hideout, where they find a mix of both crews, Bats, Buddy, and Darling, already there. Buddy approaches Baby and tries to talk to him about the connection between listening to music and driving. They play some driving songs, but Baby gets irritated and tells them he doesn't need music to drive. At that moment, Doc walks in and starts explaining the plan. He lays out how they'll rob a post office and hands out the necessary tools and weapons. While they're on the way, Bats asks Baby to stop at a gas station so he can use the restroom. Meanwhile, Darling tells Buddy that after the job, they should get rid of Bats because he looked at her in a way she didn't like. When Bats returns, they continue driving straight to the site. Upon arrival, they see a man dressed completely in white. He removes the cover from the weapons, revealing automatic rifles and grenades. But it turns out this isn't a simple weapons deal. The situation escalates within seconds. A shootout breaks out, and both sides exchange fire. Baby is almost hit, but someone pulls him to safety. As the gunfight continues, Darling gets shot in the arm. Bats then explains that he fired first because he saw police labels on the weapon crates, meaning the sellers were undercover cops. The team argues, and in the chaos, one of the supposed dealers tries to escape. Bats, Buddy, and Darling open fire on him, killing him instantly. They then steal another car to escape, but before leaving, they throw a grenade into the vehicle the man was trying to flee in, causing an explosion. They hit the highway, with Baby driving. Bats tells him to pull over at a diner because he's hungry, but Baby refuses. Bats doesn't take no for an answer and forces him to stop. Baby hesitates, but eventually, he pulls into the diner. Once inside, he keeps his head down. Deborah happens to be working there, and when she and Baby lock eyes, she instantly senses something is wrong, especially when she notices the people he's with. As Deborah takes their orders, Baby and she exchange glances. Bats, noticing this, gets suspicious and asks Baby if he knows her. Baby denies it, but Bats pulls out a gun, ready to kill her. Baby quickly stops him, assuring him that he was just going to leave her a tip. Bats backs off, and the group leaves. Before going, Baby secretly writes a time and place on a napkin and hands it to Deborah. Back at the hideout, Doc immediately confronts them, saying they didn't give him the security code as planned. Then he accuses them of screwing up because their contacts this time were actually cops. Buddy tries to cover for the team, but Doc isn't convinced and calls off the entire operation, telling them to leave town. Bats refuses, saying he's not going anywhere and will go through with the job despite the risk. Doc challenges him, saying, "And who's going to deliver the money after you killed my contacts?" Bats insists he has someone who can help. Doc then turns to Baby and asks for his opinion, saying the final decision is his. Baby, feeling trapped, agrees to go along with the job. Buddy eyes him suspiciously. Later, Baby sits alone in his room, playing back recordings on his tape recorder, imagining himself with Deborah. Snapping back to reality, he checks the time, 1:59 a.m., meaning he's supposed to meet Deborah in just 1 minute. But things don't go as planned. As he gets up to leave, Buddy appears in front of him, asking where he's going. Baby lies, saying he's just heading to the diner. Buddy grows even more suspicious and questions whether he's planning to run away. Then he grabs Baby's tape recorder and demands to know why he's been recording them. Pointing a gun at Baby, Buddy asks if he's an undercover cop. Baby, knowing how much Bats despises cops, starts trembling. He quickly explains that he just loves recording sounds and turning them into music. To prove it, they make him play a recording. Baby hesitates, saying the tapes are at his house. They knock him out and retrieve the tapes. When Baby wakes up, he sees all his recordings spread out on the table. Doc demands an explanation, but all Baby can think about is Joe. He panics and asks what they did to him. Bats wheels Joe in on his wheelchair. Baby plays one of his recordings at a slow speed, and Darling surprisingly enjoys the sound. Then Doc picks up a tape labeled Deborah. Darling immediately realizes it's the voice of the girl they saw at the diner. Bats gets furious, questioning why Baby lied about not knowing her. Buddy presses him, asking if he's been talking to Deborah behind their backs. Feeling cornered, Baby knows this is his last chance. He stands up and defiantly declares, "No one else is driving this job but me." Doc considers it for a moment, then agrees. Meanwhile, Deborah is still waiting for Baby at the diner, unaware of the danger he's in. The next day, the team moves out and heads to the post office. Buddy and Darling go in through the main entrance, while Baby and Bats circle around in the car and go to the back door. As Baby sits in the car, he notices a woman walking toward the post office, signaling to him. Baby shakes his head and tells her to leave. But instead, the woman turns back and calls over a nearby officer. As the officer approaches, the team exits the building, and Bats kills the cop. Then they jump into the car, but Baby doesn't move. Bats yells at him to go, but Baby just sits there, frozen, refusing to drive. Suddenly, he slams on the gas and crashes into a truck in front of them. Its cargo, a load of steel rods, spears right through Bats, killing him instantly. Buddy and Darling rush out of the car, but before they can escape, the police show up and open fire. They run, with Baby leading the way as the cops chase them down. He dashes into a mall, quickly changing clothes to blend in, but it doesn't work. The cops spot him anyway and keep after him. Baby sprints through the building like he just stole something, eventually making it to a parking garage, where he hotwires a car and takes off. But as soon as he speeds off, he crashes into another car. Inside are Buddy and Darling. They jump out, trying to get into Baby's car, but by then, the police have them surrounded. A shootout erupts, and Darling is killed. Seeing this, Buddy loses it, unleashing his rage and firing wildly at everyone, including Baby. Baby tries to escape but struggles. He grabs a bag of cash that fell from the car and starts running. Just as he reaches for his iPod, Buddy fires a shot at him. Baby stops for a moment, then spots an old lady nearby and takes her car. But instead of driving off immediately, he waits a few seconds. He needs to hear a song playing on the radio first. Once the music starts, he shifts gears, leaves the cash for the old lady, and speeds off. When he gets home, he finds Joe lying on the floor, the whole place trashed. Baby quickly grabs the money he had stashed away, packs some clothes, and calls a diner. When the cook picks up, Baby simply says, "Baby's on the way," then hangs up. He helps Joe into a car and drives off, switching cars along the way to avoid being followed. Baby drops Joe off at a nursing home, recording a message asking the staff to take care of him. When they ask if he'll be back, Baby hesitates before saying he doesn't know. Joe, sensing something, tells him to look out for Deborah. Just then, an Atlanta PD helicopter appears overhead, searching for Baby. He vanishes in an instant. Moments later, he's outside the diner where Deborah works, ready to pick her up. But waiting inside is Buddy, sitting there like he's been expecting him. On the TV behind him, news reports flash images of Bats and Darling. Buddy snatches Baby's earbuds and listens to the music for a moment before saying, "The song might be over, but the melody isn't finished yet." Right then, one of Deborah's coworkers walks over and casually asks, "Hey guys, what's up?" Buddy turns to answer her, and in that split second, Baby pulls out a gun and shoots him in the chest. He grabs Deborah, and they run out the back door. A cop sitting in a patrol car outside sees what's happening and rushes toward the diner. As they escape, Baby tells Deborah he has to leave. She insists on going with him, and together, they disappear into the night. Meanwhile, Buddy, still alive, pulls himself up and kills the officer outside. Baby and Deborah make their way to a payphone. Baby dials Doc's number, asking for help, but Doc hangs up on him. Deborah urges Baby to just run away with her, but Baby tells her he has one last thing to take care of. Deborah looks at him and says, "We don't have music, and we don't have a car." At that moment, a Mustang car parks in front of them, and Baby goes to take it and drives away. He tells him that he needs the tapes, but the guy refuses to give him anything. Baby insists, saying he has the bag of money and just wants to buy one tape. During the exchange, the guy changes his mind and hands Baby the tapes. The man turns out to be quite sentimental, so much so that he tells Baby to keep the money and even goes down the elevator with them. When they ask why he changed his mind, Doc tells them that he understands love because he's experienced it before. As soon as the elevator doors open, they find 3 men firing at them. Doc tells them to run while he handles it, but he gets shot. Baby and Deborah stop to check on him, but Doc yells at them, saying, "Didn't I tell you to run?" Then, a police car arrives. Doc tells them he'll handle it but wants them to leave. However, the police officer starts playing the same song Doc had once listened to with Baby, blasting it at full volume. He tells Baby, "I'm here to kill you." A shootout breaks out, but miraculously, Doc doesn't die. Instead, he steps on the gas and rams into another car. When he backs up, he runs over a body again. Baby takes advantage of the moment, grabs a set of car keys from the ground, and then pulls out a gun. Meanwhile, Bats crashes into a wall. Baby and Deborah jump into another car, and the chase begins. Baby makes Bats crash into another vehicle. Then, he unbuckles his seatbelt and tells Deborah, "Get ready, we're jumping out." As they try to escape, Bats recovers and starts looking for them. He sees the car but can't find them anywhere. He circles around, calling out for Baby. Then, he spots Deborah standing alone. When he stops in front of her, she says, "Now, Baby!" Suddenly, Baby appears in a pickup truck and rams into Bat's car, knocking it off the bridge. But Bats manages to jump out just in time. He's still alive. Baby gets out of the car and looks down at the burning wreckage. Suddenly, Bats sneaks up from behind and tells Baby, "You're a smart kid, but you took something I love, so now I'm taking something from you." Of course, he means to kill Deborah. But just before he pulls the trigger, he fires a shot near Baby's ear. The loud noise makes Baby clutch his head in pain, screaming. Just as Bats is about to finish the job, Deborah grabs a metal rod and strikes him from behind. This gives Baby the chance to grab his gun and shoot Bats, finally killing him. Bats' body falls onto the burning police car below, which explodes in a fiery blast. The next scene takes place in the morning. We see Baby and Deborah driving, with Deborah behind the wheel. Baby wakes up as she plays a tape of his mother singing. For a moment, it seems like they will live happily ever after. But then, they run into a police roadblock on the bridge. Deborah tries to turn the car around, but Baby steps on the brakes and tells her, "You don't belong in this world." He takes the keys, gets out, and surrenders himself to the police. We then see him being transferred to prison, while hearing Deborah speak about him in court. After that, an elderly woman he once stole a car from testifies in his favor, as well as the woman he saved at the post office by warning her not to enter. In the end, the judge sentences him to 25 years, but with good behavior, he'll be eligible for parole in 5 years. Later, we see Baby opening a letter from Deborah in prison. She sent him photos and sweet words, telling him she can't wait for the day when they'll drive off together, listening to music, with nowhere to go. Eventually, their dream comes true. And that's the end of the movie. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.